Hello, everybody. Ella J here on behalf of WrestleZone, and today I am joined by the lovely Gigi Rey. Gigi, how are you today?
I'm good. It's so nice to talk to you again, Ella.
Yes, and I have to admit, I think this is the first, but I had some difficulty figuring out where to start today because there's just so much to discuss since the last time I talked to you. But I
Definitely.
think we'll start with something that recently happened out on the West Coast. I'm talking about the West Coast Pro Training Academy, where you attended and were one of the winners of the Marvelous Open tryouts. And now you will be making your way to Japan for a Marvelous tour. Before we get into the details of the tryouts, did you attend the seminar led by Chigusa Nagayo the day before as well?
I did, absolutely. I mean, it was the tryout and the seminar. The seminar was the day before, so
Yeah.
I mean, why not go to both and kind of let them get a chance to see you twice? So I'm really glad that I did, and I was going out there anyway, so I might as well be out there for both outings. So
Yeah, so can you kind of give us, and we'll talk about the open tryouts in a second, but like learning from a Japanese legend like Chigusa Nagayo, can you tell us more about that seminar and some of the things that you learned there?
It was really interesting. There was yeah, so she led it, and then she had I think about four other girls from
Mhm.
Marvelous that were there helping run the seminar as well. So a lot of it was kind of still like the fundamentals and basics. A lot of just like the first thing in a wrestling match is like locking up, right? So they
Yeah.
kind of wanted to see us lock up and kind of just see that intensity and because I don't know, as a wrestler, if you kind of have a crappy lockup in the beginning, it kind of sets the tone for your
Yeah.
match, you know? And you have to see these two people, they're gonna go at it. So if you don't have a good intense lockup from the start, you don't really know what kind of match you're gonna have. So that was kind of like the first thing we did for a while was just like a very basic like lockup. And I felt really fortunate to be able to learn from them. And then it's cool too because last year I went and trained with Natty and TJ Wilson at
Yeah.
their facility in Tampa. And
Yeah.
that was something that we worked on there too, was just locking up. So even from that, I was like, I'm very intense with my lockups, and I took that from learning from like Natty and TJ. So I knew going into this seminar and this tryout, I was like, okay, like they showed me how to do a really, really intense lockup. So I'm gonna bring that here as well too. And so then everyone kind of went around and did their lockups and stuff. And ours, I don't know, it was cool. It was just something very basic, but something like very, very important. And so it was cool to know that it's like that's still something that's so valued all over the world.
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of laid the groundwork for the next day when the actual tryouts
Yes,
happened.
exactly.
So, I mean, I saw the photos of the winners. Chigusa was there and a couple of the other Marvelous girls. How was that experience? That's obviously had to have been a lot more intense. So, can you run through kind of what you guys did there?
For the tryout?
Yes.
Yeah, so for the tryout, all we did was, have a 5-minute match with someone else who was at the tryout. That's all it was, so everyone kinda came in their gear, ready to go. I wasn't actually really sure what it was gonna be like. I didn't know if it was gonna be, like, drills and some conditioning in the beginning and then a match later on, but kind of, like, from people that were at the seminar the day before, you could kinda just hear a little bit of, like,
Yeah.
rumblings that, like, "Make sure you bring your gear tomorrow, make sure you, like, come in your gear," and I was like, come fully dressed, like, hair, makeup, everything? Like, I don't know. So I kinda just had it like, my bag with me, and, we got there, and everyone was, yeah, ready to go, and that's all we did was just a quick 5-minute tryout match. And, thankfully, like, Promise Braxton happened to be there too, so her and I kinda wrestled each other on our tryout match, and
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna bring her up. Having someone like Promise Braxton, who you've worked with and is another popular name in the Texas scene, I have to imagine probably brought some comfort or some relief in that kind of not tense, but it's like it's a big opportunity kind of on the line. So I have to imagine that gave you at least some sense of relief or comfort there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know, like, yeah, Promise and I, we've been wrestling each other for like
Yeah.
the past year, and we have a lot of mutual respect for one another. And when they said you could like pick whoever you want to wrestle, we kind of just looked at each other. I was like, hey, like, looks like we're gonna be wrestling each other, and we kind of went out there and do kind of what we always do in a very condensed fashion. And very fortunate that both of us get to go to Japan. So
Yeah, and you said on your Instagram that wrestling in Japan has been one of your biggest goals since you started wrestling 3 years ago, and now it's coming true. From what I understand, it looks like it might be happening later this summer slash in the fall. Can you give us an update on when you're heading to Japan and kind of how you're preparing for it?
yeah, I actually don't know for sure
Okay,
yet when we're gonna be going. They have to figure out like our visa stuff
there.
before we go.
Yeah.
I did get a chance to talk to some of the other girls that have worked with Marvelous in the past, and they kind of said, yeah, the visa kind of takes a while, but once they get the visa, you're pretty much like on your flight out the door. You're gone. So they kind of told us after the trial, just kind of get everything in order, make sure you like your work is good with it, your finances are good, your family's good, get everything figured out because once we get your visa, we're gonna be sending you out. So yeah, right now I kind of wrapped up with my shoot job, and now I'm just gonna enjoy the summer. I'm gonna go home back to Canada for a bit and visit with and stay with my friends and family because I've been away from them for so long, and because I don't know how long I'm gonna be in Japan for. So I really want to spend some time with my family and friends back at home and wrestle on the Canadian scene before I head out. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
so are
I think we'll be going by the end of the summer, like maybe September. That's just my feeling.
yeah.
But we'll see. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
That's what it seemed like, in the meantime, like you said, you're going back home. At the time of recording this, you have an event coming up this weekend against, Shazza McKenzie, who I love.
Oh,
Is
I'm
this
so
kind of
excited.
a permanent move back home for you, or are you still gonna be in Texas? What's the sitch?
Well, I'm not sure yet. So
Okay.
I think I will be coming back to Texas 'cause I
Yes.
literally just put all my stuff into storage.
Okay,
So I
okay.
got like a storage
Yeah, yeah.
locker. I moved out of my apartment and I've accumulated so much
Yeah.
stuff in the last 2 years. And I kind of felt like if I kind of drove my car and all my stuff back to Canada before going to Japan, I feel like that kind of closes the door on like my US and my Texas journey down
Yeah.
here. And I'm not ready for it to be done, really.
Yeah.
So I've kind of like established some roots here. Like, I have a lot of really good friends still training at like Reality of Wrestling, and I'm not ready to let go of any of that
Mhm.
stuff yet. So I put myself in storage. So I do have to come back eventually, and then we'll kind of see where it goes. But I'm really, really looking forward to Japan, and I really want to stay out there for like as long as I can, I think.
Yeah, I was talking to another Texas popular person, Hyon. She obviously had a tour in Japan
Yes.
a few years ago. She was also there at the Queen of the Indies event that weekend, competing there. Mash Slamovich, the winner, was
Oh,
stuck in Japan for a year for the pandemic and all of that. So
yeah.
she was in Marvelous for a while too. So those are definitely some people I know who have had valuable experiences there. But obviously, Texas has been such a huge part of your story, really 2/3, I guess, of your wrestling career now at this point. You took the
hmm
leap and moved out to Texas about 2 years ago. I know some of it was influenced by your shoot job, but on the wrestling sides of things, I feel like it opened up a lot of cool doors for you, like you said, to work in Reality of Wrestling, Mission Pro. So kind of reflecting back on your decision to move to Texas, can you kind of talk about how that decision has impacted you personally and, of course, your wrestling career?
It was honestly the best decision I've made in my life, I wanna say. I've grown so much as a person, just maturity-wise, kinda just to be able to come out here on my own, not knowing anyone, and having a lot of, like, success pretty early on, has been, like, really, really encouraging and really, like, really motivating, and so, like, with now being able to go to Japan, it kinda shows me that it's like, I know I can handle putting myself in an uncomfortable situation, not really knowing anyone. Obviously, it's gonna be a huge, like, different culture shock, but I've done that. Like I've left Canada by myself, come kind of had to reestablish kind of my whole life down here, and now I get to do it again, and I get to go like across the seas and do it in Japan. So I've grown so much, I've matured so much, I've got to see so much, I've networked with so many people, made so many friends and connections, and yeah, I was coming to Texas and living in the States the last couple of years has just been really like enriching to my life and especially my wrestling career as well too. So, and I'm really excited still to go back home and wrestle with my friends up in Canada and
Yeah.
go across to the West Coast, like back to Vancouver and stuff. And yeah, I'm just it's been so amazing. It's just everything that I've kind of hoped for has been happening and been coming true, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned so you are still I know you're moving, but you are still training at Reality Wrestling, correct?
Yeah, well, I was in so last year I was living in Houston training at
Okay.
Reality of Wrestling, and then my job ended up taking me to Austin. So I was
Mm,
working in Austin. So I would still like come maybe every couple maybe once a month, twice a month down to Houston to kind of train and get back in the ring and because you kind of build a family and
yeah,
a comfortableness there. And I'll be there tomorrow before I fly back home and stuff. So yeah, Reality of Wrestling I still feel is kind of like my home base and like my home
yeah,
promotion and yeah, I really love it there and I love all the people there and there's always new students coming in all the
yeah,
time. So it's really great to kind of see the school growing and it's weird because it's like I've only been there for like 2 years, but
yeah,
it's like now that I'm part of the roster and then these like new trainees come in and they
yeah.
all like know who I am and I'm just like, oh, I'm like I'm a nobody. Like I just got
You're
here.
you're
Like I
you're the
don't
big
know.
dog now, Gigi.
I'm not, but it's yeah, but it's kind of cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like, you've gotten to learn under the guidance of not only your peers, but like two kind of legends, Hall of Famers, too, Queen Charmel and Booker T. I have to imagine that they've instilled some new pieces of advice and words of wisdom in you. So I'm kind of curious what's something that has stuck with you from your experience at Reality of Wrestling.
The thing that comes out to my mind right away is Gigi, don't do stupid shit. And that's what Booker told me after that ladder match and when I ended up
Your
injuring my
wrist?
wrist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, Gigi, no more stupid shit. And I was like, yes, sir, I got you. So I'm just trying to like keep that in mind. Like wrestling, it is pretty hard on your body. You really do have to protect yourself. And it doesn't take a lot for you to kind of injure yourself and kind of be out for a while and injuries can take a long time to heal so I'm just trying to work smart work safely but still be entertaining and still do stuff that's like within my capabilities and
Mhm.
not do anything too crazy and but still it's not about the moves, it's about telling a story. So always kind of focusing on that. And that's something I've really, really tried to hone in on these last couple months is storytelling and not just about like crazy moves and
Yeah.
flips and doing all this wild stuff that's like really entertaining to see and watch, but it's about storytelling. That's what wrestling is. So it's like kind of cutting it back down to the basics. So no stupid
Well,
shit.
one of the stories that's been blossoming is the story of the Money Birds. Texas is
Yes.
where you connected with Lady Bird Monroe, who ironically, granted hers was a lot more severe than yours, but she came off of injury and then you
Hmm.
two sort of bonded and then later formed the Money Birds tag team. So, can you tell us more about the dynamic of that friendship and how you guys decided to start legitimately tag teaming together? I know it's kind of started you were just paired together, but then more came to it, obviously.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the first time we ever actually we tagged together, just the two of us, we were on AEW
AW,
Dark and they
yeah,
put us together. And we had already talked because like her and I we're best friends. Like she
yeah,
is like my family out here. And we had always talked about we should be a tag team. We should like we know we're kind of the similar size. We're kind of very same like athletically. We've kind of been doing this the same amount of time. We have great in-ring chemistry and that just kind of carries on in the like outside of the ring we're really good friends and inside of the ring we're also like we have great chemistry. So the first time we actually officially tagged together, just the two of us, was on AEW Dark. So I was like, well,
mhm,
this is kind of cool. It's like we're already kind of like a little team, and it's like on kind of like a big stage.
mhm,
And so then we're still just hoping to like do the tag team thing. Like Mission Pro had their women's tag
yeah.
division, so we're like, well, they need more tag teams. And thankfully we got to get booked there together. And where else did we tag? Out in San Antonio, we did a tag match out there, and yeah, it's been
I
really fun.
I
And
get
we
to
have
call
like
one of your
some steam
matches in a
behind us a
few
little bit.
I get to call one of your matches in a few weeks at CCW, so I'm looking
Oh, do
forward to
you
that,
really?
yeah.
Oh, I'm
I
so
won't be there
excited.
in person, we record it in post, but I will get to call one of your matches, so
Oh,
in a few
awesome.
weeks.
Yeah. So we're so excited for
Yeah.
that. So it's like we both talked about it. It'd be really nice to get out to like the East Coast and
Oh,
wrestle
yeah!
and now this is our first booking out there and it's nice that we get to do it together. So we get to
Yeah.
travel out there together. We get to practice together, do all that stuff, and yeah, we're really, really excited to finally get out to the East Coast and wrestle out there.
Yeah, I forgot you know, you've mainly been kind of West Coast or the South, so or Canada,
Pretty much just
obviously.
Texas,
Yeah,
really, because like I
yeah,
went out to the tryout in San
yeah,
Fran, but and I
mhm,
I was able to get onto the Queen of the Indies show, but
yeah.
that was kind of the only booking I've had on the West
Ooh,
Coast other than like up in Vancouver and
Vancouver.
Canada and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, we're going
Oh,
across the country now, so it's kind of cool.
expanding your horizons, you know.
Yes.
How did you and Lady Bird land on your kind of current aesthetic and presentation and then the Money Bird's name itself?
So we were trying to figure out for a while what we could like call ourselves, and we had a couple things on a list, and nothing really like stuck really,
Yeah.
because that's the kind of thing with wrestling. You kind of have to like try something out, throw it at the wall, see if it
Yeah.
sticks, sort of
Yeah.
thing. So we were throwing a bunch of crap at the wall, and none of it was that good. And then I was kind of just thinking, I'm like, what's something that could just like is just easy, like makes sense. And then like I kind of do like the money gimmick, and she's like Lady Bird. And so then I kind of I don't know, I think I just thought of it like one night. I was like,
Yeah.
Money Birds is kind of cute.
Mhm.
And so I asked him like, what do you think about Money Birds? And she's like, I love it. And it was easy because it's like I had already had all this like money type gear, and
Yeah.
then she's Lady Bird. So we were able to kind of just put it together. And then it was kind of cute because it was just kind of like us. It was just kind
Mhm.
of like both of our things meshed together. And yeah, and it kind of just worked. And it's I don't know, the people seem to like it, so we're doing something right, I guess.
I love your matching silver gears. Like I I
Oh,
I
thank
I
you.
love a good gear. I feel like it's an underrated, but also kind of necessary kind of presentation aspect of it. It ties like everything in, you know, it's part of the art to it. But you know, like you mentioned, your own character obviously blends with Ladybirds, but kind of in that singles realm. I'm curious, what are your general sources of inspiration when you're envisioning your gear for kind of your singles competition?
Well, that was kind of the thing too. It's like when Lady Bird and I were trying to figure out what we wanted our tag gear to
Yeah.
look like, we kind of wanted because we're still singles wrestlers as well
Yes,
too.
that's true.
So it's like my gear that I have is still like my style, and
Yeah.
her gear that her she has is still her style.
Mhm.
And we kind of just tried to get the same like color scheme together. That way we can wear it together when we're a team,
Mhm.
and then we can also wear it individually when we're by ourselves. So that was kind of like our goal with that. Um, but yeah, so it's like, I don't know, but who inspires my gear? Is that what you said?
Yeah, what are your sources of inspo for your gear? Yeah.
Always like Mercedes Monet. She's still like top tier of like gear design.
You're about I don't blame you for saying this, but you're about the 3rd person in the last 2 weeks that I've seen say that, and rightfully
Yeah,
so because she's
like
always had stellar
it's
gear.
always on point. It's always so good. And then especially with my last that new silver gear that I have,
Yeah.
that one I actually got designed from a designer somewhere that I met online. But I really kind of wanted to do more of like a Joshi, like Japanese style,
Yeah.
and that really like inspired me because it's like because I just wanted to like
Mhm.
wrestle in Japan, so I was like, I
Yeah.
want to look like a Japanese wrestler, and so that's how I kind of got the inspiration for my last set of gear. And then I've kind of just tried to like play off that design a little bit and try to like, I kind of do like the armband now, and like kind of just try to keep it all together, keep the same theme. I like it. I think it looks good. So kind of just little tweaks every now and then, different color schemes. But yeah, definitely
Yeah.
Mercedes Renee and like the Joshi style of gear.
I can see that. I can feel like and I feel like, you know, people elevate, change their gear all the time, but I feel like that's just kind of you've definitely changed your gear from the last time I talked to you, but, you know,
Yes.
it's a part of the evolution, you know?
Oh
So,
gosh. I
but
know.
you
I like when I was packing up all my stuff with like moving and stuff, I found like my first set of gear. Oof. Man, that was
to be
yikes.
fair, I don't think anybody is like unless your first match is, like, on TV, I feel like your first gear is not gonna be great. I feel like just
Yeah.
for anybody.
Yeah, it was literally like a sports bra that I got at a store, and I
That's what I
glued
hear from a
on
lot of
some
people.
rhinestones, not even
Yeah.
rhinestones, it was just like some shimmery tape or something. And then I didn't realize that when you glue it on, like it won't stretch anymore. So I had to like wiggle myself into it every time. Like it was a mess.
That's funny. That's
Yeah, but then people like
funny.
want to like buy it, and I was like, I don't think you. I don't know. I'm too sentimental to like sell that. I was just like,
Fair. Fair. Especially, you're still early in your career, maybe if it's like 10 years from now, you're like,
Yeah,
I don't want to
maybe.
remember that. Fair,
No, but it kind of makes me
Yeah.
laugh. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is like so bad, but
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you learn as you go and you kind of learn through
yes.
experimentation. So, you talked about you've grown, you've become more mature, but kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced in your career thus far other than wardrobe, not malfunctions, but
Oh, so
wardrobe.
I've definitely had
Yeah.
some of those, which is never
Yeah.
fun.
So what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced so far and how did you kind of cope with them?
Challenges like in the wrestling ring or
I like character-wise, you're finding your identity, confidence has been one for people. You're kind of still in this developmental stage, so I feel like wrestling it just personally, your personal life, there's a lot that goes into that
yeah, I
aspect.
think definitely trying to like figure out your character and who you
Mhm.
want to be, how you want to say things, cutting promos, like that's always like really difficult for me. Um Even just like I know, especially with being at Reality of Wrestling, it's cool because it is TV style. So, but I'm very like I'm still kind of awkward in front of a camera, and
Mhm.
I'm kind of like eye shifty, and I'm like I get nervous, and I've never been good with like making eye contact with people. I'm always like looking away or like looking down or just looking somewhere else. So I think just having like more presence in front of a camera is a challenge and there's sometimes, I don't know, coming off my entrance, I always forget what I want to do, where I want to stand, where I'm supposed to look. Like I always struggle with that as well too. Um, but yeah, it's that thing where it's kind of like you have to kind of make mistakes to kind of figure out what to do right, sort
Yeah.
of thing. And I'm a big believer in like you should be watching your stuff back, you should be watching your matches, you should be watching your entrance just to kind of see what you can do better, what you can do different, what you shouldn't do. So yeah, kind of just and it's a very humbling experience like watching your stuff back and sometimes you're like, oh yeah, that match was really good. I feel really good about it. And then you watch and you're like, oh,
Mhm.
like what happened there?
What's funny is you just perfectly segued because, you've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, but the one thing I've admired about you is that you pride yourself on being humble. Um, but we need to recognize a pretty damn cool opportunity that you had a few months ago that I don't think many people are aware of. There was a little teaser out on social media, but I don't think a lot of people know that you were one of the four Asuka imitators, clones. I don't exactly know the right name for it, but you were included in Asuka's entrance at WrestleMania 39 in California, Gigi. How
That
was
was
that
crazy.
experience? And kind of tell us how it all came together and all about that experience, whatever you can
Oh,
anyway.
yeah, no, whatever, I'll just tell you everything, I don't care.
Okay.
It was awesome, it was great, it was so cool. It was really great, I felt so fortunate to be able to get booked as an extra on WrestleMania, so went out to Los Angeles and, yeah, I didn't really know going there what if you were gonna do anything, you kinda
Yeah.
just go, right? And if they have something for you, they do. If they don't, they don't. I still thought it was cool kinda just to be, backstage at WrestleMania, biggest show of the year. I've been a fan of wrestling my whole entire life, so it's like it's one thing to, like, be an extra at, like, Raw or SmackDown, but to be it at Mania is kind of like it's really, really it's cooler than the other ones, I guess, really. And then to be able to, do, like, the Asuka thing was, like, really, really cool, and I don't know, they give you your costume and they kind of tell you what to do and you go out there and practice on the stage with like Oscar and then Triple H comes out and he's directing what to do and it's just such a surreal moment and then you're on that huge stage and well, I think it was night 2, I think it was.
Yes, yes.
So I was only there for night 2. I wasn't there for night 1.
Mm.
So I had already known what like the stage looked like and all that stuff, but just to like go out there and walk out there and kind of just to be like part of like I guess the small crew that you're part of, it was really neat. And then you're walking around and we still have like our little Oscar gimmicks on and all like the sign talent are like, oh, it's the Oscars, So it was just like it was cool just to be like
Mhm.
a Oscar for a day or for like 5 minutes. Like it
Yeah.
was just a really great experience. And yeah, I'm really, really thankful that I got to do something like that. It's I think growing up as a fan and like Asuka being someone who really inspired me to get into wrestling, to be able to like be part of her entrance was like really, really, really cool.
Yeah, and being, being on that WrestleMania stage, I mean, you're behind a mask, but I have to
Oh
imagine
my
that
gosh,
there's
but
still
then being behind the mask, you can't see anything.
Oh, wait, really?
No, the eye holes were so small. And then we had like the little thing we had to do, and then
Yeah,
you had
yeah,
to walk to a certain part of the stage, like to the
yeah,
very front of the stage. And
yeah.
I'm just like, we were wearing the gown. Oh, and then that was a cool. So the gowns that we were wearing were like the actual Asuka gowns, like gowns that she's worn on NXT Takeover. And I
Mhm,
was like, they let us pick which one we wanted. I
mhm.
knew exactly which one I wanted. I was like, that one is mine. No one else touch it.
Do you remember the color? I
It
don't
was
remember all of
orange,
them.
it kinda
Yeah,
had, like, a leopard print on it, like, fur, I'm pretty sure she wore it on, like, one of the NXT takeovers,
yeah,
one of her championship
yeah.
matches, but, like, I saw it and I just recognized it so much. It was just, like, that vintage NXT Asuka
Yeah.
robe, and I
Mhm.
was like, "That's the one I wanna wear," and no one else wanted it, so I don't know if I just, like, called it I dibsed it too early maybe, but, yeah, so that was cool. So you're, like, wearing, like, her actual robes, which was, like, really cool, but, yeah, so when we're on the stage for the
Mhm,
entrance, we did our little thing, then you had to
mhm,
like walk to the end of the like stage. And I'm
mhm.
like, you have this robe on, someone's gonna step on it behind you because we kept doing that while we were rehearsing. I don't want to trip. I can't see where
Yeah.
I'm going.
Oh
Like it
my
was so
gosh.
nerve-wracking. I'm like, please just don't fall. Please just don't fall. Like not on the WrestleMania stage in front of like what was it, like 80,000
At
people.
least though, if you do fall, you're behind a mask, if your mask didn't fall off.
My mask almost fell off. Like,
That's funny.
but yeah, so it was really cool, and, I'm glad none of that happened. My mask stayed on, I didn't
Yeah.
fall, I went where I had to be. So, yeah, it was a great experience. I'm really, really thankful that I got to do something like that. That was wild.
Yeah, and I feel like kind of side note, I feel like it became like a mini mission for me to kind of uncover the identity of all the Oscars, and you were the last one that I pieced together, so
Really?
yes, but it was really heartwarming to know that all four of you girls really deserve it, and, it was
Oh,
just like it was a unique batch of people too, just come I'm not gonna it's whenever they wanna disclose that is up to them, but I feel like it was a really cool opportunity and very well deserved for all four of you
aw, thank you, and
specifically.
it was really nice, and the
Yeah.
other 3 girls that were there, I had met them other times, kinda just
Yeah.
on other indies, and it was a great group of girls that we had, and, it was a really cool experience for us to all share together.
Yeah, and, like you said, you didn't get to wrestle in the appearance, but I mean, you were backstage surrounded by people like Triple H, producers, the signed talent. I don't even know if you had time or if you had kind of the guts to, but were you able to pick anyone's brain for advice or anything?
No.
Okay,
No,
fair.
just you just mind your own
Yeah,
business
yeah,
and
yeah,
you go
fair,
there, you do your
fair.
thing, you eat your
Yeah.
catering, and you watch the show.
That's fair. I'm curious, you were there for night 2. Other than your own experience, kind of what other match or moment did you enjoy from night 2?
From night 2, oh,
I
everything was, like, really, really cool. I mean, I know I was in, like the main event was, like, really good with, like, Roman and Cody.
Yeah,
I was, like, team Roman. I know everyone was, like, really going for Cody, but I mean, I was, like,
yeah.
big picture here, the whole
Mhm.
bloodline storyline, like, you can't take the belt off of Roman right now. Are you crazy? So
I'm still very sad from it. It's salty, but it's fine. It's fine.
I just think look what happened with the bloodline now. If Roman was not the champion when all this stuff happened, I don't think it would have felt as big as it
Roman
does
hasn't
right now.
defended it since WrestleMania. It's
That's not
going
the
on
point.
3
That's not
months,
the point.
Gigi.
That's
90
not the point.
days. That would never happen anywhere else. Never. But
Whatever.
that's just my thoughts.
I
But
know.
I know, but, I don't know how long you were in California, but were you able to enjoy your time in California outside of the work aspect of it? Kind of what else did you do while you were out there?
Well, I was at Raw the next night,
Yes.
um, which was fun. But that was about it. There wasn't really a lot to do because when you get there for Mania, you're there all day, and
Mhm.
then I did Raw the next day, and same thing. You're kind of there at the arena all day, and that was also a cool experience as well too. I met a lot of really cool people, the other like people that were booked as extras, um, and I think even with that, I I know not don't know, but, like, I bumped into, like, TJ because I had trained with him before, so I
Yeah,
said hi to him. I think that was kind of the only person. But everyone's just, like, so busy, right?
yeah,
Like, in the back, and you kinda just wanna, like, don't be not be any in anyone's way and be
yeah.
respectful and yeah.
Yeah, I that's such an awesome opportunity, and obviously you have a huge one ahead of you. You said that Japan, you've been really yearning to go there. So I'm kind of curious, who are some performers, Marvelous and beyond, that you were kind of have your eyes on from Japan that you may want to work with sometime?
Oh gosh. Oh, I'm so bad with names, but it's like I
Okay.
can see them and I know exactly
Damn.
like who I think especially who I'd want to work with, especially being a part of like the Queen of the Indies. A lot of those marvelous girls were on the show and they were
Mhm.
just phenomenal, just so great in the ring. And they're also at like the seminar and the tryout and everything. And just to see the way that they move and the way that they strike and their cardio is just like unreal, unlike anyone else's. So that's kind of like my plan for the summertime is just to kind of get my cardio game up just
Yeah.
so I can keep up with these women. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited just to go over there and then talking to some other girls that have been to Japan before. They said like even though they were with Marvelous, they were able to work for other promotions. So
Yeah.
I just like really hope I get the opportunity to do that as well. I think I'm just so looking forward to just the whole experience of everything. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't know if are they sending all of you at the same time, or is it the winners? Are they is it gonna be separate?
Sure. I feel like we're gonna be going out at the same time.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know for sure. I did email them to let them know that I am a Canadian citizen, so I'll probably be flying out of Canada, not out of the
Mm,
States.
yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah, sounds good. So
Because I was gonna say, if you've promised Braxton there with you, I'd feel like it's a little bit more comforting too. You're not like alone. You have
yeah.
a
Yeah, we're
familiar
hoping we
face
can
there
go out
with
there
you.
together. That's kind of
Yeah.
what we've been talking about. So
Yeah. And to kind of close things out, you've now you're going to cross off one of your big goals. So, after Japan and all of that, kind of what are you hoping to accomplish in this next chapter of your career?
The next chapter is still to get that TV contract, is still to be a TV wrestler, and to kind of like make this a full-time gig and have this be all that I'm doing. And I have every time I get in the ring, I still have the same passion, if not more passion now than I did before, especially with all the success and opportunities that I've gotten. I just really hope that this Japanese venture and the experience that I'm gonna have out there is just gonna really give me a lot more skills, make me a lot more well-rounded wrestler, really help me with psychology and just really like up my wrestling game. And I'm excited to bring that back home, bring that back to the States. And am I excited just to stay in Japan? Like if I will stay out there for as long as they will let me stay out there,
Mhm.
I think. And unless like some really big opportunity comes in the States that like I need to come back here for, it's like
Yeah.
I'm cool with staying in Japan for an unknown
Yeah.
amount of time. So
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad gig at all. It's
yeah.
obviously a dream of yours. But Gigi, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. I'm so excited. Hopefully, the next time we talk, we will be talking about Japan. Whether you're still
Yes.
there or not is still TBD. But
Mhm.
nevertheless, before we let you go, can you please tell the listeners where they can find you on your social medias?
Yes. So on Instagram, I am Gigi Wrestling, and on Twitter, Gigi Wrestling. That's it. Those are the places you can find me.
Nice and easy.
Nice and easy.
Thank you so much for chatting with me today, Gigi. It's been an absolute pleasure and sincerely congratulations on all your success and upcoming opportunities. It's so awesome to see.
Oh, thank you so much, Ella. It was great chatting with you again.